I'm meeting my guest this week for the first time virtually, but I was connected through a woman that I know, Christine Mazinko, who we ran together. I met her actually through Scranton, is where I am recording, and that's where I live. I met Christine when we were training for the Scranton Half Marathon a couple of years back. She and Mimi and Jen, the two that I ran with the most, the three of them, and we had some great laughs. There's nothing like exercising together. You get through the miles with smiles, and we had a great time together. So I met Christine years ago, and I've also networked with her a couple times as well. But Christine reached out to me and she said, I have a guest for you. You said that if people know interesting women, we're going to reach out to you. And I appreciate that. So again, if you have someone in your life or you're friends with your family and you're like, this woman deserves to be talked to on Janine's podcast, please reach out to me, just like Christine did. Christine said, you've got to talk to this person. So Lynn, I want to get this right. Lynn Green Dzielak. We said the D is silent. We had this little conversation before I hit record about Dzielak, I believe. So it's Lynn Green Dzielak. Now, interesting thing about Lynn, Christine brought her to my attention, but I had already seen Lynn on Facebook. She has Now and Zen, and we'll talk all about the wonderful things she's doing, but she was leading some kind of workout kind of program for the new year. And I wanted to get in it, and I had reached out, but I was a little too late. The spots for the time frame that I wanted were full, but I'm like, I saw Lynn on Facebook. She's doing great stuff. So I will stop talking now and say, welcome, Lynn. I'm so glad you could join me today. How you doing?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm doing wonderful. And I do remember you reaching out to me. And unfortunately, I did have a full class for the 6 weeks challenge. But here we are. I guess it's inevitable that we're meeting.
Yes. I don't know about you, but I believe in fate, don't you? That things are meant to be at certain times.
Yes, I do.
I definitely do. And yeah, and it's not, so it's unfortunate for me, but fortunate for you that you had such great interest in the program that you're running, and great that so many folks are interested in doing that. But before we dive into that, it's funny, before I hit the record button, Lynn and I were talking about, I want her to share a little bit about herself. And we were saying, she said she likes to talk. So we said, we try not to have every day of her life from the point of birth in the birth canal to today. We'll probably want it a little shorter than that, but Lynn, I don't know you other than Facebook and knowing that you're awesome and you do massage therapy and you do all kinds of great stuff. But tell me and my listeners a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you got into what you're into now. But tell us a little bit about you personally.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Lynn Green Dzielak, and I currently live in Troop, Pennsylvania. I have a wellness center here also in Troop that's not too far from my house. But I've only had this wellness center here since May. My original career was nursing, and one day, I think it was like 2021, I decided that nursing wasn't fulfilling me as it had once in the past. So I went home from work one day and I asked my husband, I said, well, I don't know if I asked him, I might have gently told him that I was going to quit my nursing career and go to massage therapy class to fulfill a calling that was kind of nudging me to go into a different caregiving direction. And here we are 3 years later.
It's
And
interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
now I'm sitting here in a Now and Zen Wellness studio.
It's interesting you mentioned so your nursing background. So when this conversation airs, this is going to be after a conversation that will have already aired. But one of my guests recently was Jennifer Graham Partika, who is with Geisinger, and she's a nurse. And our conversation on the podcast was a lot about nursing and the strain on the healthcare system, but on nurses in particular, and how a lot of nurses, like yourself, were like, okay, this is not for me anymore. The pandemic just certainly didn't help the strain, I'm sure, and the stresses that you guys had on you.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. I'm not sure that the pandemic was the main cause for me leaving nursing, but it definitely helped catapult that into it, where there was a lack of the hands-on nursing during the pandemic. We were forced to do telehealth visits, and just that lack of personable nursing touch really like opened up my eyes to that. I think I need a career change. So here we are.
Well, and it gave, I think, while it was a terrible thing, I think a lot of people reevaluated their lives. It kind of gave, I hate to say, but in a way, opportunity where people were like, yeah, am I living the life I want to live? Am I happiest now? Can I try something new? Follow a dream, a passion. And
Yes.
after the pandemic, or if we consider it after, it's hard to know what time frame we're in with this. A lot of people need healing, and certainly massage can provide a lot of that healing. Have you found that to be true and to be fulfilling for you, what you wanted it to be or hoped it would be?
100%, absolutely. From the moment I stepped into massage therapy school, I just had this knowing that this is the right direction that I needed to be in. And then once I um, graduated and I got my license to touch people, right? It was like floodgates had opened. People, word of mouth, people come to me. My therapist said that I need a massage. That massage may help me with my anxiety. It may help me with my depression. I also have people coming to me saying my ortho said massage may help this tendinitis that I have. So massage therapy is a holistic healing modality. Now, do I heal people? Absolutely not. But I do create space for healing to happen within the body. So when all other physical ailments like imaging has proven that everything has been ruled out, then they come to do massage therapy. And then there's almost like an aha moment with some of my clients, like, oh my gosh, like touch and myofascial release and deep tissue. A lot of their aches and pains and a lot of headaches and depression and anxiety seem to be alleviated through massage therapy. So yeah, I do believe that massage therapy is a very healing modality, a very healing art.
Well, you don't need to convince me. I've loved it for years, honestly. And I
Mm.
wish my mom is in her 70s, and it's one thing she will never. I've tried to get her to go to a salon, like, or not a salon, but a wellness, a spa or something. And she does not want anyone touching her. And, I
Yeah.
tease her about it, but I wish she would try it just because if she was open to it, I just know how I feel afterwards and I know what it can be. And it's just, I think it's wonderful. Just even the human touch, it is
Mm.
something, whether it's a pulled muscle or whatever it is that you're going for, just to relax. I just feel like I know it would do wonders for her, but unfortunately, it's not everyone is open to it,
Right.
I suppose.
And it's funny that you say that because that's when I pull out my nursing card. And so if I'll have a client say, "Oh, I wish my husband would do this, but he's not into massages," or "I wish my mother, my grandmother," I'm like, "Well, just let them know that, I have a nursing background and there's some medical knowledge that I have as well." And that sometimes gets them through the door. And then once I get them through the door, they're like, "Oh, this is great. Where has this been my whole life?" So sometimes we bring science into the massage therapy. People are more accepting of it.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, again, I love it so much. Like I do, one of the things I do when I left my day job at Blue Cross, I was in healthcare communications. I started doing standardized patient work at the medical college, and the students have to learn a lot of things. And like, I be careful how I say this because I want to sound like a weirdo, but I love even when it's not full massage, but even when they're palpating the spine. Like
Yes.
just not even hard, just gently. To me, I could sit there all day. It's just part they're learning, but I love it. And I love when they palpate the lymph nodes, like in your neck and everything. It just feels so calm. I'm like, can I get a full hour of lymph node massage? Because I think that's lovely.
Yeah, right. Even that light touch, there's energy transference. There's the energy of the therapist to the client. So there's lot of things going on with massage therapy, not just the palpating, but that the intention of the massage therapist, directing that energy, that shift, that manual manipulation.
So at Now and Zen is the name of your business in Troop, Pennsylvania. So you do massage therapy? I know that when I saw on your Facebook, there's mention of yoga. Do you teach the yoga? Do you open up your place to yoga classes? Tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you're offering there and that you're creating. Like it seems like almost a sense of community.
Sure, sure. So the yoga that I teach is I'm certified in yoga massage, and that is it's a restorative yoga small class. I usually cap it to 4 people, and it is fully clothed, obviously, and we're on the mat with bolsters and blocks, and I get the students into their position, and then whatever the muscle is that or the tendons that we're kind of opening up, I will go through with compression massage. So that's my unwind, and it's called yo massage. um, Other than that, the yoga, I'm not teaching yoga yet. That hopefully will be coming in either early 2025 or the end of 2024. We will have a yoga studio here, but that's still in the planning stage. I do personal training, fitness training here, nutrition coaching. I'm certified through the American Council of Exercise to do that. And yeah, the massage therapy. I'm a certified running coach, so sometimes I take it out of the brick and mortar Now and Zen Wellness, and I take it out onto the roads and the parks and do running coaching.
So I'm particularly interested in that because I've been running. I started late in the game. It's funny. I was kind of a lazy child. I was smart, but I wasn't exactly active.
We might be sisters.
What's that?
We may be sisters.
I wasn't like, I mean, I'm overweight now, but I wasn't like a really heavy kid, but I wasn't thin either. And I remember it's so funny. People have laughed at me because for some kids, if they had their bikes taken away, it was like, oh my gosh, how dare you? Whereas my dad was like, get out on your bike because I
Yeah.
didn't want to do it. High school, I was not an athlete. When I went to Penn State, I started out in Worthington, Dunmore, then went down to main campus, but I took a volleyball class for my PE credit, and myself and this other girl weren't allowed to actually play in the game. We would be off practicing against the wall. So I've never been very active. I didn't start running until my 30s, and I'm
Mhm.
52 now. So probably like mid 30s or whatever. And I've done 2 full marathons, about 12 halves, and a whole bunch of 5Ks. And I've never been competitive like as far as fast goes, but I have definitely gotten slower. But I love that I saw that you were a running coach because I mean I'm personally interested in it. If you don't mind sharing, and this may bore the people who aren't runners, but hey, hang in there. Share a little bit about your running background.
Oh, so very similar to yours. I was definitely a lazy child, late bloomer. I remember, oh gosh, probably 16 years old after Thanksgiving, and my older brother wanted to take a walk around Lake Scranton. I'm like, no, oh, like that's the worst thing ever. Like it was, I am not walking. I'm going to take a nap. Like I just ate my turkey. So I started, I started running at 40, and I didn't really start running like, oh, I want to start running because I think it's really cool. I started running after a heart scare. So I was heavily drinking at the time, heavily smoking cigarettes and cigars. Like I would smoke packs and packs of cigars. Swisher sweets. And
And you were a nurse at this time?
I was a nurse at this
Okay. Okay.
time. I mean, even though I knew that it wasn't wrong, that whatever that addiction to nicotine just pretty much dictated my life, even though I knew. So then that, will kind of turned into a little bit of resentment. Like I knew that it wasn't the right way to go. So then the universe had to like, okay, we're gonna jumpstart this girl. And I ended up one day waking up with my heart rate of 200. So the nurse in me put my pulse ox machine that measures the heart rate and the oxygen. I'm like, okay, well, my oxygen is 99. I don't have any chest pain. My heart rate is 200. Okay, I don't have any chest pain. So I did like all these non-pharmacological interventions to knock my heart rate down, and it wasn't coming down. So I'm like, oh, I better go to the hospital. Right. So I drive myself to the hospital. I'll never forget January 3rd, 2015. And I drive to the hospital with the pulse ox on my machine. I'm like, this has been like happening like this for about 4 hours now, and I can't get it to come down. And so from there, they gave me some medication, and they're like, you better quit smoking and, start moving a little bit. And I'm like, ugh. So then from there, that's when I pretty much like, okay, I better do something. I quit smoking. So that's what I had to do first. I quit smoking. Then I didn't have that reward system. So I was nursing, and I would pass my medications, get them done in time. So go out for a cigarette, so I didn't have that reward. So I needed something to replace that. So to replace that, I actually had to kind of like redefine the way I did things in my life. I had to drive a different way to work. I had to park in a different spot. I had to just totally remove all the associations that I had with that smoking and drinking lifestyle. So I decided, to start running. And it was literally baby step. Like that I could not walk up my flight of steps without being like, oh my gosh, like I'm out of breath. But I knew that I needed to do something, and that there was I don't know what kind of medication they put in my veins, but it was something that like maybe they added like drive for running or something. And so I started off with running 30 seconds at a time and walking 3 minutes. And I just worked my way up. 3 months after that, I did my first 5K. And then a year after that, I did a half marathon. And then the year after that, I did a full marathon. So I've done 5 marathons, multiple half marathons, 5Ks, all from that defining moment, that defining moment, that crisis that I had, that I needed to change my life. And I actually forgot what the point of this story, what I was telling you. I don't know if I was supposed to be answering a question or not. But that, so that running had led me to this. So that day in January 3rd, 2015, I believe has what led me to the running, to the massage therapy, to opening the Now and Zen Wellness, to help people, to help lend faith to people who think that they can't run. So when somebody will come up to me like, oh, I wish I could run, but I just can't. I'm like, you can. Like if I can do it, then you can do it. But so I like to, my running coaching is to bring that out in them, bring those baby steps to do it injury free, and just inspire the love of running into people.
I love it, and congratulations for the halves, the marathons. You went on the fast track, so to speak, because I started and I don't know how many years it was before I tried a 10K and then tried a half, and then it was a while before I did. You kind of did the fast track, so my hat's off to you though. That's congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. So, yeah. And, with the running came aches and pains. So, like, okay, what is this I'm feel like I was feeling aches and pains from running, not necessarily like bad things, but like, oh, why do my legs feel heavy like that? So then I would research, okay, well, it's this muscle that's causing that. And then I learned what that muscle was connected to. So I think that is what inspired the massage therapy.
Well, it all works well together. And I love what you said about when people might say, "Oh, I can't be a runner," because I forget what year it was. And I don't even know at that point if I was in running. And if I was probably doing 5Ks or whatever. But I remember standing in Blakely by the anchor and cheering on people in the Steamtown Marathon. And I remember going, wow, I admire the hell out of these people. I could never do this. And then I think it was 2013 that I ran Steamtown. So
Mhm.
that, you can, like to your point, you absolutely can.
Right.
Like most things in life, when we say we can't, well, then you can't because you're saying it, but you can. And I love that you're saying that. Now you're helping people
Yeah.
overcome that and start running. That's great.
Yes. Thank you. It's very rewarding.
That's awesome. It seems like everything that you're doing is to enrich wellness. And I mean, you've done it for yourself in your life. And I mean, it must be very rewarding to see results when people come to you. And now you're also opening, I should mention, to kind of like go a step further with this idea of enriching people's lives and wellness. You've opened up plant-based soup. It's Troop Soups. Is that right?
Yes. So we're not open yet. We're in the process of opening it, and it's called Troop Soups, but we will have more than just soups. We'll have smoothies, wraps, salads, rice bowls, um, quick grab and go vegan, and that's also another rabbit hole that I can go down into, like after the running. But that rabbit hole is all credit to my husband, who wanted to go plant based due to his health concerns, and we've been plant based for 4 years. So that kind of took my I met my husband 2 years after I started running, and he was not the picture of health that I was um, starting to be with myself. So he was still smoking, and he was eating burgers and not that that's bad, but that was all his meals, like um, wings, pizza. He didn't even know what a piece of spinach was. He's like, spinach? What is that? So a couple years after that, he had quit smoking, and he had some labs drawn, and his cholesterol was very elevated, and the doctor wanted to put him on some medication, and he decided to go the lifestyle change route. And now he is also training for a half marathon, and we're plant based. And so he has changed his life. And so, with that said, he will be opening alongside with me the plant based. So he'll be working with that too.
That's wonderful. So tell me a bit about plant-based for people, and I'm not fully, aware of what exactly that means and what you'll be serving. I know you mentioned like wraps and smoothies and things. Tell me a little bit about that and what the benefits are, the advantages to that diet or lifestyle, I should say.
So essentially, plant based, technically, if the majority of your food comes from fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds and legumes, like 51% or more, you're a plant based. We're 100% plant based. So we only eat nuts, seeds, legumes, vegetables, fruits, anything that is grown from the ground. We don't do any animal products. We don't eat meat, seafood. That includes milk, dairy, eggs, butter. And the reason we went plant-based was due to his cholesterol. So we needed to bring his cholesterol down, and he decided that he wanted to do it through plants. And we did, and his blood work came back all normal 6 months after we were 100% plant-based. And that was 4 years ago. The troop soups had come about 6 years ago when I was making a soup, and we weren't plant-based at that time, and I was still nursing, and I brought soup to work, and my one coworker was asking me like, well, Lynn, what do you have for lunch today? I said, I don't know, it's like soup, I made it in troop. And she's like, oh, it's troop soup. So I went home and I told my husband, I'm like, I guess I made some troop soup, and that has stuck. So every meal that I would make, he would take a picture of it, post it to Facebook, and tag troop soups. So there's these people are like, troop soups, what's troop soups? Where's troop soups? And I would be like in Giant down in Dixon City, like, oh, you're Lynn from Troop Soups. Where is your restaurant? I'm like, it's not a restaurant. Like, it's a fake restaurant. And so, see, this is what I'm telling you. I can go in like so many different directions. So fast forward to last year when we decided that, or not even last year, a couple months ago, that this plant-based grab and go that is going to have like wraps and smoothies and salads would be the perfect time to bring Troop Soups into reality. So here we are, Troop Soups, plant-based vegan. So the benefits of being plant-based is there's no cholesterol, lots of fiber, lots of vitamins, lots of minerals. It's very good for the cardiovascular system. There are cardiologists that do recommend a plant-based diet for like obviously I'm not a doctor and I can't recommend, but it is good for the cholesterol, blood pressure. It's good for some people find benefit through Hashimoto's, my husband, for instance, and he is my husband. I am. He allows me to talk about his private medical, so it's all good. He had struggled with Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid, up and down and up and down. And since we went plant-based, that has stabilized. Obviously, he still has to take the medication, but it doesn't go up and down like it had been when he was eating processed foods and not nutrient-dense foods. Sinuses, his sinus infections, he was getting recurring sinuses. And that has calmed down. His digestive disorders, they have calmed down. So for him, it really allowed him to reduce his overall generalized inflammation in his body.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that. I was actually just reading last week. I was Googling inflammation, basically foods that are anti-inflammatory, because while mine has not been properly diagnosed for years, we were watching my thyroid, and I'm not on any medicines, but the antibodies or whatever were incredibly high. And they're like, oh, something's going on. We're going to quote unquote keep an eye on it. So nothing has been told to me, but I also know that I eat poorly, very poorly. I'm eating a lot of processed food. So I do know that I need more vegetables. I need more fruit, all of that stuff. What would you say, just from your own experience and your husband's? To me, that's hard. Any change is difficult, especially when like I'm not someone who like, there are people who are like, I love fruits, I love vegetables. I don't. And I mean, again, I'm like a kid. A kid that doesn't eat well. What would you suggest, even some basic to get started? Because what happens, I know I find for myself, if you say you're going to do it tomorrow and then you get discouraged or whatever, you want to stop. But I like, what's a good way to get like to start change just on those small steps?
So I think the main ingredient in change in anything is to have that strong desire inside to change. Because if that strong desire is not there, you will always try to find ways where when that strong desire is there, those ways will find you. Like you will be like, okay, this banana, I'm not 100% sure I like this, but I know that it's going to help me reduce my cholesterol in the long run, right? So you after time those repeated, I want to say the repeated exposure to it, you end up liking, you end up tolerating the taste of it. Now, my husband will tell you that there was a sort of a detox phase for his taste buds where things just didn't taste right because he was so used to eating salty processed fat, like not, I don't, if fat is good, like there's good fats, like avocados are fat, but the fat that like from deep fried foods, um and the salt and the sugar and the processed flour, they all kind of dampen our taste buds. And so there has to be a sort of like cleansing of that. And once that is cleansed and we our taste buds are detoxed a little bit, then we can start tasting the sweetness of a blueberry. We can taste the sweetness of the brightness, freshness of an orange, or the pepperiness of a piece of arugula. So the more minimally processed foods that we eat, the better they taste. So the processed foods are in a sense killing our taste buds.
Mm, okay. Do you ever find it, because I know I do try. I'm not completely terrible, but I'm pretty bad. Like
Sure.
avocados. I do like avocados, but sometimes I find it challenging, like if getting the right, you know what I mean? Like if you don't get it at the right time, like okay, if I let it sit 2 days and all of a sudden it's starting to go.
Yeah.
Do you ever
Yeah.
find it difficult now in the summer? Obviously, we get a little bit more opportunities with the farm stands and
Mhm.
farmers markets. Do you ever find it challenging to get like good fruits and vegetables like in the winter, or do you recommend frozen? Like, what do you guys do?
So that's an interesting question because we definitely eat like fresher, locally grown food, obviously, in the summer. We tend to eat more frozen vegetables in the winter only because it is proven that they are just as full of nutrients frozen, and it's actually better for you because they are picked ripe and then they're frozen. Whereas if you were to say buy a tomato in the store and it's they pick it green and then they gas it, right? And they gas it and they make it ripe. So those nutrients aren't necessarily fully developed. So frozen foods is a very good choice in the winter, and it's actually less expensive too. We'll hear that, oh, I don't, if eating healthy is expensive. So the expense, it can be a little more expensive, but it's also, we're investing in our health. Medications can be expensive if we are taking medications due to like sedentary, not taking care of ourselves, like the metformins. I know people have to take the metformin sometimes, but if it's due to poor diet, standard American diet, that's an investment with us. Let's see what else. Avocados. For the avocados, I will buy them in stages. So sometimes like I'll feel when I'm like, okay, this is more ripe, and then I'll get one that's a little less ripe. So then you can buy those in stages, and then once you get done with the riper ones, the ones that are less ripe will then be ripe. So there's definitely some trickiness to go with it, and in the it can be overwhelming at first if you're new to it, but that's also why I'm here too, to help give little life hacks.
Yeah. And that's definitely helpful. Yeah. The avocados that sometimes I probably just let them sit sometimes too long, but I do like them when I like spread them. Well, I'll spread them on toast, do a little, squeeze a little lemon, a little crushed red pepper, and maybe a little goat cheese. Now I know you guys don't do dairy, but I love my goat cheese.
And that is very interesting too, because I would say the majority of people will be like, I could give up meat, but I can't give up my cheese. Like cheese is very, people are very loyal to their cheese, and my husband was not any different. So I remember when, and he wanted to go 100%, and I remember it was probably, I don't know, about a week after we went. He's like, he calls me Bay, B-A-E, Bay. I'm I'm hungry. I want eggs and Cooper cheese, right? I'm like, let's give it one more day. Let me see what I can come. So I found it a challenge. Like it was a good challenge for me to, okay, what can I make him that's going to get him over this hump of this dairy? Because cheese was definitely the hardest thing for him to give up. So I made him a tofu scramble, and he will tell you that it was that day when we made him the scramble. I'm going to say it was about 2 weeks. After that, he was done with cheese. He didn't want it, but he felt like he couldn't live without it. And to this day, he will tell you that he would rather, if we were to eat animal product again, he would eat meat before he would eat dairy and cheese.
Wow. Okay. So a tofu scramble, is it like scrambled eggs, or is there any like fake cheese
It's
kind of
tofu.
thing, or
So it's
okay.
tofu and black salt and a couple other things, and you just fry it up in a pan, add a little bit of salt and pepper and lots of veggies, put it over,
Mm.
and there's things that there are vegan cheeses that you can, but that's getting into the processed part of it too, which we do some processed cheese and stuff, but we try not to do it daily, because even though, I mean, Oreos and that Lord of Dews are my favorite, they are also vegan, but they're also processed. So uh, just because it's which leads me to another thing, just because something says that it's plant-based doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best choice for our body.
Yeah. Well, and that's the tricky part. I think sometimes unless you really do your research, you may
Right,
not know going in, which, that's why it's important to take time to learn that.
right.
Do you have a hard time, or maybe you don't, do you go out to dinner, and what is that like? Or I guess you can always order vegetables when you go out, right?
Oh, we can. Now that's a funny thing, because you also have to be careful with that too, because some restaurants put cheese in their red sauce. There's French fries that there's coating on it, and there's milk and egg in the coating. Or you can order broccoli and it comes with butter. So you would think, but then there are questions that you would have to ask beforehand. There are wonderful restaurants in this area. Can I give some shout outs
Oh,
to?
sure, sure.
All right. There's Maximum Zen Bakery in Clark Summit. She does vegan, and when you go there, you know that, like, okay, all right, here comes Lynn and Eddie. She knows, like, okay, no cheese, no butter and stuff, and she's amazing. And then there's like places we visit. Harvest, they're good with knowing vegan and gluten free. We're not gluten free, but any kind of dietary restrictions. Um, but I mean, when in doubt, you can ask, most places are really good with, say, okay, here's the ingredients list. Look for yourself. And movie popcorn is vegan. It's not healthy, but it's vegan. So when we want to splurge, we'll it's that safe to do. But you learn the restaurants to go to, but it does put a big damper on we before we were plant-based, we went to all the restaurants, and now it's like very small, which is why we also wanted to open the Troop Soups to offer another option in the area.
Which is great. I mean, people need these options. So of course, as funny wine girl, I'll ask, alcohol. What are your thoughts on alcohol? Or
And so alcohol is plant-based, right? Well, not all alcohol is plant-based, I guess. So with alcohol on a has different schools of thoughts, right? So my husband and we're sober. We don't drink alcohol, so that is not in the equation. Alcohol, there are studies that show that some red wine is anti-inflammatory, but if you're able to drink it in moderation, that's wonderful. I, on the other hand, was not able to drink wine in moderation. So for me, if I can't moderate, I eliminate.
well, and that's totally, and you know yourself, and you know that that's what works for you, and that's good to say. Yeah, I had researched because I had a friend on over a year ago who was also plant based, and we talked about it. And I found an article. I forget exactly what it was, and I won't remember now, but it was something in white wine that vegans would not drink because it was something I want to say. Oh my goodness. It was something really strange that had to do with like, I don't know if it was fish eyes or there was something
Oh,
in I forget, and I'm saying that, but it was something odd
yeah,
like that that
yeah,
was in the processing of white wine that would make it something that vegans would definitely not want to drink. And I can't
right,
remember it exactly now, but I mean, and folks who are vegan probably do their homework and know what
sure.
they can have or not have. Yeah.
Right. So, and that's interesting too. There's different viewpoints on veganism. So we are technically plant-based. We say that we're vegan because it's just easier for people that to understand what we do. Like, so we're 100% plant-based whole food. Saying vegan is easier and it gets the point across, where veganism can be an ethical thing too. So if I were to say want to eat a French fry with a little bit of egg in it, if I have this dire craving for that French fry, I'm going to eat that French fry. Where that would be a little bit different if I were vegan, then I'd be like, oh, or I wouldn't eat a French fry that was cooked in the same fryer as a chicken, right? So that's where the veganism might be a little bit different than the plant-based. Now, I don't condone the eating fried foods, but I mean, I'm human. I like a French fry after my races, so I'm not going to be asking, the French fry place, do you cook hot wings? And the same thing, I want my French fries after my. So
Yeah. And you're you know what you're allowing yourself, what
yeah.
treats you're allowing yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I totally lost the question that I was going to ask you there. It totally went out of my head, but that's okay. That's all right. So is there anything else? So in closing, so let me ask you, do you know when your Troop Soups will open? Do you have a planned opening date?
Uh, so we have an estimate of hopefully March, April. That is just all depending upon the food licensing, the contractor. We're actually getting the countertop installed now. So it just all depends on that flow. I am ready to be open tomorrow, but the ties that bind me, I just have to wait until everything's in place. So we're hoping at the latest April.
Okay. All right. And is that going to be located inside of Now and Zen, the same place, same location, or?
Yes. So we're on 737 Dunmore Street in Troop. It's on a one-way street going toward Dunmore. the troop soups will be in the front of the building, and the massage therapy is more toward the back. I'm actually in the massage section of it, and then eventually, hopefully, by like I said before the end of 2024 or 2025, there'll be a yoga studio also. So it'll be with like you'll be able to get to the massage through the plant-based, like you'll be able to access all of the sections of the wellness center.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. I think this is all so interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate and thoroughly enjoyed meeting you and talking about me, which sometimes can be awkward and uncomfortable for me, but here we are, we did it, and it flew by.
Yeah. Let me ask you too before we close. Do you have any races coming up that you're training for, or what are you up to there?
So I plan out my whole year. I am now training for the Scranton Half Marathon. It'll be number 10 for me. And then I will do, I also belong to Team Allied Services. So I'll be doing New York City Marathon. I'll be raising funds for that. I did it last year. I will be doing it again. And then the Wyoming Valley Run 10 miler is definitely on my list. And probably, I think there's a half marathon that I'm looking to do at in June on my anniversary, our anniversary in Potter County. So yeah, there's lots of races on the agenda this year.
That's great. Yeah, I won't be doing last year I did the half and it was probably I did like 3 or 4 consecutively and then I did a departure one year to do the 15K hot chocolate in Philadelphia and then I came back and did a couple more Scranton. So I think I did about 6 or 7 Scranton halves, but I won't be doing it this year. I am in no shape for that.
Well, there are lots of fall half marathons, just in time to get ready. I do plan on doing the Corning half. That one I will try to get a personal record for.
Wow. Is that the wine glass one or is that different?
That's the wine glass one. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one always looked interesting to me, maybe, but I think it's changed so much for me. Like I said, not that I was ever that fast, but I've definitely gotten slower, which I'm okay with because my thought is now something is better than nothing. Last year's Scranton half, I did the 5 I ran, run 5 minutes. And then I didn't even do 1 minute walk. It was more like 40-second walking, and it worked. I was actually pretty proud that even though it was one of my slower times, it came in exactly when I had planned for it. So
Yes.
training was like right on. It was, and I felt good when I finished. So I was really happy with that. So
Yeah.
I, again, as the saying is, meet people where they are. You have to meet yourself where you are. And I don't
Oh,
want to give up running yet.
absolutely. And it really, truly, the joy of running and the longevity is so much more important than how fast we are. All right, because fast is all relative. My fast is definitely not my brother's fast, right? My brother runs Boston,
Oh,
so
wow.
it's all relative. And to me, and that's also what I do with my running coaching is I teach about the joy of running and the longevity of running. We don't even talk about, I say we don't even use the words fast and slow.
I love that. I love that. In fact, there's a lot of Facebook groups, slow AF. I'm in one of
Yeah.
those groups, but like because it's so true. And like again, don't get me wrong. When I've been in races that were smaller, and I was a little when there's only so many women in your age group, believe me, I liked walking away with a medal. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do believe it. You're right. It is for me. It is about the joy because I'm the runner that's going to stop and look at the signs that someone writes and holds up for. I'm gonna, hit the kid's hand that wants a high five and do all that because I love that. Like for me, even my running now, like I will stop and take pictures. I mean now I'm doing run walk, but if I see something interesting, I'll stop. I love talking to people. For me, I truly do love that, and I know for me what it does. Like that's why I don't want to give it up. I get creative ideas when I run. It's right now for my perimenopause. It's what's keeping me from possibly, punching a hole in the wall some days.
Girl, that's a whole other thing too, like the running and menopause. That's a real thing, but I hear you on that. That's running is mental health.
Yeah, it definitely feeds my soul. Like honestly, and that's but I'll tell you no more than like I mentioned I would like to make some dietary changes. I've never been sorry for one run that you know what I mean? It's not like I ever finish a run and go, "Well, that sucked." I'm always thrilled that I did it. But it is getting tougher for me to get out the door, because I'm a
Right.
procrastinator to begin with. And it was never super easy, but now it's getting a little harder. But thankfully, every time I finish, it's the results are always rewarding. I love being out there, especially now this week we've got some sunshine. I was out yesterday. I did just about 4 miles, and it was run, walk, and toward the end, I probably walked more that last half mile, whatever. But still, it was so good to be out there, to see people, to feel the sunshine, and just to know like my energy, my creativity was flowing, and my mood was so much better.
Yeah, we solve the world's problems on our runs.
Yeah. Well, and it's great. Like the one thing I don't have, and as a coach, you're with people. When I did train with Christine and them for the half, it was very nice. You get a certain camaraderie when you're running with people, but I've yet to do that. I do know a lot of women who will meet at like 6 a.m. and I could never get into that because I'm not a morning person. And being a solopreneur, I have my own schedule. I will go out and run maybe at 2 in the afternoon. I will run at 10 a.m. And it is harder when you go by yourself. I mean, I am a little bit of a solo person. I remember training for Steamtown and doing my 18 miler by myself.
Yeah,
I don't mind it, but I think it's so nice when you do have someone else to be accountable to, because I've had that through the years, and I always tend to show up better for those people than for myself, which is kind of a
abs-
struggle.
that's absolutely correct. Like I have a balance. Like I love to run by myself because then I pay attention to in here, like I pay attention to my breathe. It's meditation to me. It's a moving meditation. But I also, there are times that I love meeting with my group of, girls, which I know my friend Mindy, yoga with Mindy.
Yes.
She is, oh my gosh, she's something else. Uh, because I know she's going to hear this. But she definitely, like, I forget why did I bring Mindy up? Oh, so she's part of that, and there's a bunch of other women too, like that likeness that we have. So balancing that, the solo runs and the group runs for me is very important,
Yeah.
especially for something. I like those solo runs. So solo running is good, but it's
Yeah.
also the group run too. So
Yeah, they're both good. They're absolutely both good. Yeah, Mindy was a guest on my podcast. I want to say probably almost 2 years ago, because the year I turned 50, I did a whole series, like the 1 month of fabulous and 50s. So
uh-huh.
women in their 50s. And we talked about then. I forget, she was training for a marathon after having taken a break from marathons. And we talked
Uh,
about her training and
that was 2021. We did the Atlantic City half marathon
that's
together.
right.
That was, yeah, Mindy's up to some fun stuff this year. Maybe you should revisit a conversation with Mindy.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I love what she does. The yoga, she's all over with her yoga. And I think that affects so many people in such a positive way. I know people are so happy after doing that. So I know she's all about spreading the light. And yeah, definitely. You're right. I should probably revisit a conversation with her and
Yeah,
see what's up.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's got some fun things happening this year. So
Well, Mindy, now you know, shout out. You're being talked about here.
Mindy, she's my shenanigan sister.
And it's good to have one of those, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you so much for this time, Lynn. And for those folks in northeastern Pennsylvania, check out Now and Zen on Facebook. Any place else you'd want them to check out? Is Facebook the best place to check out your progress with Troop Soups and Now and Zen?
Yeah, Now and Zen Wellness is on Instagram and Facebook. Troop Soups is also on Instagram and Facebook. However, the Facebook is probably the better place to follow the Troop Soups. I do try to do monthly giveaways for massage, because who doesn't love a free massage? So following me on that, we do giveaways, and we'll probably do a nice little giveaway when we open Troop Soups too.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will put in the show notes a reminder about that. So folks check out on Facebook and Instagram and watch for the opening of Troop Soups March or April, as Lynn had said. And you know what? If you want to, don't be afraid if you do have goals out there, and you think, oh, I couldn't do that. Maybe you can, reach out for a running coach in your area or, read. There's plenty of resources out there. Jeff Galloway method is the run walk method. And there's so many great articles out there and information about any kind of exercise or change. And believe me, I do want to make changes myself with my diet. So we're all, change is not easy for any of us, but we can do it. So thank you for inspiring us today, Lynn, and for what you are doing to help people heal and to live healthier, better lives. Thank you so much. And
Thank
to my listeners, I will say, tune in every week. We've always got another interesting person, an interesting woman. I like to focus on women here. And there's always hopefully something you could take away, some information, some inspiration, and even some laughs, some entertainment from time to time. So check out the show notes. I also put in there a link to my Buy Me a Coffee so that if you'd like to support this podcast with a monetary donation, that's appreciated because this is a passion project. But remember, you can also help, not just through money. You can also help by sharing the podcast. Share it on your social media, tell a friend, a foe, anyone you know, and write a review or testimonial if you've enjoyed an episode, or, just tell a friend. I really do appreciate that. So, as I always say, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.